I love this quote by Brené Brown, and it says, talk to yourself like someone you love. Talk to yourself like someone you love. Hi there, I'm Ife George. Welcome to day 3 of the 21 Days to Transformation. Today I'll be speaking about the power of positive self-talk. Now, self-talk is simply the inner dialogue that we have with ourselves, right? And it's a combination of our thoughts, our beliefs, and our perceptions. Now, whether we like it or not, we consistently have thoughts going on in our mind. We have ingrained perceptions and hardwired patterns that have conditioned us over time, right? Whether we like it or not, we have beliefs that we have been conditioned by over time. So there is no escaping self-talk, right? There is no escaping self-talk. You can't run away from it. It is something that happens to you every day. It is something that you will definitely have to deal with. Now, if you haven't seen the video for day 1 and day 2, you want to go back. Day 1, we spoke about vision. Day 2, we spoke about the power of beliefs. Today, we're speaking about the power of positive self-talk. And the reason is because self-talk in itself is the interpretations that come off our beliefs. So it's the interpretation, it's the personalization of our beliefs, of our perceptions, and our thoughts, right? So imagine a thought about something you find or you consider hard to do. Just the thought that something is hard to do can be interpreted in dialogue to yourself as, I can't do it, right? Now, you see the idea. You have a thought, something seems insurmountable, something seems daunting, something seems tasking, but you have an interpretation that goes on in your mind to yourself, I can't do it. And so if you ask yourself, really, what's the importance of this to me? Self-talk defines your mood. Now, the way you think, the way you talk to yourself defines your mood. You would like to know that there's an interlink between your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions, right? And in the way that we talk to ourselves, inspire the emotions we feel or create the moods we have, then it means that automatically our actions flow from our talk, right? Our actions flow from our talk. So the way I talk to myself, the way I talk about myself, determine the actions I take to a large degree, right? So whether you know that or you don't, a lot of what you are doing is determined by how you're speaking to yourself, right? And the reason I'm bringing this up is because while it is easy to just say, you know what, you want to change your life, take action, which is what many people do, right? You want to do this, do that. You want to become confident. Many people need to know what has caused the lack of their confidence. Many people need to know what stands in the way of their taking action. Many people need to know why procrastination seems easier than taking action. All right? So why is self-talk important? It is important because it sets up the mood with which you engage life. Right? What you're telling yourself sets up the mood with which you engage life. And so how do we know that we are engaging with negative self-talk? Now, if self-talk in general will set up your mood, when you have your mood feeling more deflated than inspired, when you feel an undermining of your confidence, when you have increased stress levels, when you're experiencing fears, when you're experiencing self-doubt, when you're experiencing challenges with taking action, then you can say for certain, or you can know for certain, that what is going on in your mind is not appropriate, meaning that what you are telling yourself is not appropriate. At those points, you want to step back and ask yourself, what am I telling myself right now? What am I telling myself right now that is affecting my level of confidence? What am I telling myself right now that is increasing my stress levels? What am I telling myself right now that is making me doubt myself? What am I telling myself right now that is making me procrastinate? Now, when you come to that place where you understand that there is something going on mentally, right? Many times, I don't know that there's anybody that fears, and I probably said this in the last video, I don't know that there's anybody that fears that is not aware that they are afraid. But what I doubt is that it's not in all cases that even the person that fears is conscious about what they're telling themselves that is making them afraid. Many times we just feel like we know we're afraid. We know we're not taking that action. We know we're not engaging. We know we're not moving forward, but we're not questioning why. We're not asking ourselves, why exactly have I chosen this path? Why exactly do I feel stuck? Why exactly does it seem like I'm not moving forward? Why exactly does it feel like I can't engage? Now, what we're telling ourselves has very likely deflated our mood. It has very likely disallowed our emotions from inspiring us to action. All right? That is the way to know. That is the way to know that your self-talk is negative. Your feelings are being interpreted into talk that has disenabled you from being able to act. Now, how do you shift from negative self-talk to positive self-talk? You want to watch out for the patterns. You want to watch out for moments when you find yourself disallowing yourself from action. You want to watch out for moments when you feel disempowered rather than energized. You want to watch out for patterns and you want to begin to reframe them. For example, if you are faced with something and what is going on in your mind is, I can't do this, you want to reframe that with, let me try this. Ironically, the moment we say I can't do something, it is more likely that the brain shuts down and disallows itself from trying to do that thing, right? I learned this several years ago, that there's a part of the brain called the reticular activating system that either shuts down or opens up to action depending on what we say. So when I say I can't do something, the RAS shuts down. When I say, let me try, let me try this, the RAS opens up to try and find a way out. And so even our level of curiosity, our level of adaptation is heightened or increased by the words we tell ourselves. Whether I can try something or whether I wouldn't is activated to a large degree by the words I'm telling myself. No wonder Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right. The reason you are right is because your mind, your body, your brain has the capacity to determine ways, or has the capacity to propel you to action if you think you can. Your brain has the capacity to propel you to action if you think you can. The reason many times we are stuck in the areas where we are stuck, the reason we've defined areas where we think we cannot do certain things, the reason there are things we don't find expression in, the reason there are things we've limited ourselves from is because of the talk we have told ourselves that we can't. And as long as you tell yourself you can't, this ingenious builder called man or woman becomes incapable of working. Now, depending on what you tell yourself, the human body either gets to work or gets stuck. So imagine that it is incumbent on you to allow this body do all that it can do. So how do you shift yourself from negative self-talk to positive self-talk? Watch the areas where you find yourself deflated emotionally. Watch the areas where you find yourself dampening in your mood. Watch the times when you find yourself struggling with the lack of confidence. Watch what you're telling yourself and reframe them. And the next thing I want you to see is, so why is positive talk better? Like I said, because our emotions are inspired or deflated by our talk, positive talk inspires us. Positive talk enhances our performance. It enhances the likelihood that we will walk with confidence. Now, as a matter of fact, even if I'm not confident yet, right, my self-talk can allow me engage the courage that it takes to try something out, which should, of course, if I succeed, create confidence. And so the goal of positive self-talk is to help you to commit to life with the appropriate kind of emotion. It helps your curiosity stay intact. It allows you to be able to commit to learning. Now, you see how many people say things like, I can't do that. That's not something I can do. I don't think I can learn that anymore. I think I'm too old for that. All of that is the talk you're telling yourself. And the moment you've told yourself that, it shuts down your ability to learn. It shuts down your ability to take action. Now you're saying, I've heard you. How do I develop positive self-talk? And I'll say, you want to begin to affirm yourself in those areas where you find yourself deflated. You want to affirm yourself in those areas where you find yourself withdrawing based on how you feel, maybe about a situation, a circumstance for yourself. And the idea of affirmations, I know that that's something that we've heard again and again. And the truth is, there are many things that you would hear that you have heard again and again. But trust me, the goal is not to repeat these things, but to emphasize largely the way that it is best practiced or best used. Now, for example, affirmations are words that you say or confess that connote positivity at a high level for your improvement or performance or inspiration or motivation, as the case may be. Now, what goes wrong many times for many people is the fact that they just say these things once and again, and they believe that it is all done. You cannot change years of conditioning. You cannot change years of conditioning by one confession. How the change happens is that you engage through repetition. So you must have a consistent system of refining and reframing and renewing your mind. Neuroplasticity suggests that new neural pathways can be created the moment a person begins to take on new actions. Now, the more you do a thing, the more the pathways are created for that thing to be done easily, right? The more you do a thing, the more new neural pathways are created for that to be done easily. And so the reason you might still struggle with affirming yourself or speaking positively about situations that you find yourself negatively disposed towards, it is because your brain hasn't yet created a pathway that makes that easy to do. And so you want to establish a new pattern of talk for yourself. You want to establish a new pattern of inspiring yourself. You want to establish a new pattern of energizing and motivating and disciplining. You want to establish a new pattern of thinking about yourself. You want to establish a new pattern of thinking about things that you have to get done. Now, this book of the law will not depart from your mouth, says you would meditate on it day and night, observing to do what it says, and so will your way be made prosperous, and you would have good success. That expression in the Bible is one that captures effectively the way you're supposed to practice reframing your mind. That you meditate on whatever it is you're engaging in day and night. You observe to do what it says. And it is by that observation and that commitment day and night that it makes your way prosperous, right? And so for a person that wants to affirm themselves and change the negativity in their mind, change the state of doubts in their mind, change the fears, change the lack of confidence, you want to affirm yourself with the right things, but you must commit to it day and night. What happens is that the brain gets to work. New neural pathways are formed and a new person is created. Now, guess what? Patterns in the brain for how we have done things in the past, if we've always spoken negatively to ourselves, patterns in the brain do not particularly get eroded or changed, right? So it will still be there. It will still be there. So the reason you consistently have yourself struggling with the negative things you typically say about yourself and the positive things you now hope to say about yourself is because the patterns you have in your brain remain there. So they remain there to a large degree, meaning your brain would always find it when it needs it. In the face of a stimulus that inspires or engages the brain for response, the brain goes to a pattern that it is used to responding to a situation. So when you come face to face with a situation that is challenging, if what your brain normally tells you is that you are not good enough, that response comes up. When you are reframing and you are changing how you think about yourself and how you talk about yourself, you want to do that well enough such that your brain has a new pattern installed. The beauty is that the brain in itself mostly picks the last use pattern. The brain picks the last use pattern. So if you are used to speaking positively about yourself, you're setting yourself up for consistent positivity such that even in the face of the highest challenge, your brain picks the last use positivity you engage with. I'll leave you with a few final critical thoughts. You want to guard your heart with all diligence because you are responsible for what flows out of it, right? You are responsible for what flows out of it. What goes into your heart determines what comes out of it. And so you want to guard what you see. You want to guard what you hear. You want to guard where you go. You want to guard the company you keep. You want to guard the people that speak to you. A lot of the people that struggle with negative self-talk are people that are probably grown up or were raised or were exposed to highly critical environments, people that have been in toxic environments, people that have been spoken down on, people that have been criticized or judged, largely people that do not feel good of themselves because of things they've been exposed to. Now, I have a problem, right? And of course, I've not committed any form of research to this, but I have this problem. I feel like, because if you think about it, why is it that self-doubt is one of the highest dysfunctional emotions that humans suffer? If you go through with the educational system, you would find that even the protocol of celebrating students that are successful and allowing the ones that are not watch is already seeding into someone the sense of inadequacy, whether you like it or not. Whether you like it or not, even our systems of judgment, even our systems of awarding, even our systems of celebration already set some people up with self-doubt. And if that person or those persons are not able to eradicate that by some performance or action or improvement or advancement in their own life, they might spend the rest of their life struggling with the thought that they're not enough. Our educational systems at many levels do not also put into consideration the difference in human dynamics, personality types, style of learning, preference in style of learning. Some people are kinesthetic learners, some people are visual learners, some people are auditory learners. Imagine having a combination of multiple styled learners in a classroom, and then the teaching style is one type of teaching style. Imagine if the teaching style is mainly auditory. What happens to the people who learn in other ways? They're left out. It's like fish out of water. And so you will find some people that would never be able to come to the place where they feel confident because they have been exposed to environments that have made them consistently feel inadequate. And so you want to guard your heart now that you have charge of what you're doing with your life. You want to guard your heart. And one trick that I consider crucial is you talking to yourself like someone you revere, talking to yourself like someone you respect, talking to yourself like somebody that is worth it, talking to yourself like someone that's royalty. The way you wouldn't talk to a king, don't talk to yourself like that. And so it really doesn't matter how you're feeling. Accept the feeling, but talk to yourself different. Even simple things like I'm bad at remembering names, I'm bad at remembering faces, I'm bad at remembering numbers, is you persistently conditioning yourself with inabilities. You are reminding your brain that you can't, and so it continues to create the pathway to say that you can't. And so in a situation where you are faced with the need for that kind of engagement, it goes back to that pattern. I can't. I can't. I believe possibilities are the outcome of curiosity. And curiosity is the function of thoughts that haven't shut down contemplation. And so finally, I want you to know that you have the power to change your thoughts. And once you can change your thoughts, you can change your life. Decide what areas you have experienced the most fears, the areas you've experienced self-doubt, the areas you've experienced the most challenges, the areas you have thought you are not capable, the areas you have struggled to be able to commit any form of growth to, the areas you have found yourself sabotaging yourself the most, the areas you think you're inadequate. Change the words that are going on in your mind. Write them down day and night. Meditate on those words. Confess those words. Do those words. Change your life. I'll see you in day 4. Bye for now.